One of the greatest feats in your March Madness brackets is correctly picking an upset. There's literally nothing better stats. And when we look at the women's side, obviously picking upsets is a lot different than the men's side because there's a lot less, right? But what are you seeing in terms of upsets on the women's side and how you define them?
Yeah, so I think the first thing is to kind of just, like you said, define what we call an upset. And officially that means a win by a team seeded 5 seeds or worse than their opponent. So that means, 12 over 5 obviously qualifies, 11 over 6 and forward. And that's just the first round. When things get crazy in March, sometimes you have a 7 beating a 2 and that qualifies. But, typically that 5 seed difference or more is what matters here.
So when picking upsets in your women's March Madness bracket, what should people be looking for? Is there a magic number we should have in mind?
Yeah, it's 4. That's the number is 4 specifically. I can be
Oh, you
really
actually have
specific
a
here.
number.
Yeah. 4.13 is the average. Now, this is since expansion to 64. Now, that doesn't mean it's 4 every year. In 2024, we had just 2. And,
Okay.
it can vary from year to year. I think the perfect example of how March Madness can be inconsistent, which is a good thing because that makes it more fun, is 1997 tied the record for the fewest with 1, but the next year, 1998, tied the record with 7. So you can see year over year, it kind of fluctuates very much, which makes it hard to pick brackets, but very fun if you want to watch some crazy games.
Well, when you mentioned the number is 4 or 4.13, which is, we can actually do that. But where and how should people be looking for these upsets?
Yeah, so pretty much it's the first round, which, makes the most sense. That's where half the games are coming from when you pick fellow brackets is their first round. But I think the key thing there is more than half of these upsets happen in the first round. Again, 5 difference or more there, which kind of makes sense because when there aren't as many upsets in the women's tournament, you're not seeing as many opportunities later in the bracket for
Yeah.
11s, 12s, 13s to pull off more upsets to get there. You're requiring, 8 and 9s to beat 1s, which does happen, but it's more rare than you see on the men's side. So it's about half that we see. And now, when you go even further, about half of those are 11 over 6s. So really that 11 over 6 is kind of the magic number if you want to pick upsets especially in the first round for March Madness Women's. And again, in 2024, there was one first round upset, and that was 11 Middle Tennessee State. So that's kind of the key there. Again, it does change year over year. Who knows what happens
Right.
down the road, but 11 is kind of the key there if you want to make a first round upset.
Yeah, I mean, oddities can always happen. And you mentioned there was that year that there were 7 upsets in the women's March Madness. Was that the year when number 9 Arkansas made it to the Final Four?
Yeah, it was. And I think what makes it kind of fun is Arkansas, incredible run, still the best we've seen in terms of a lowest seed making to the Final Four as a 9 seed. But that's just because Arkansas got there doesn't mean that all that carnage came from Arkansas. Arkansas
Right.
benefited from Harvard beating Stanford. So Arkansas did not have to play a 1 seed to get to the Final Four. Arkansas, in fact, only pulled off one upset to get to the Final Four, which is beating Duke, which is 2 seed. Now, granted, Arkansas did beat Kansas a 5 seed, so 4 seed difference is not nothing. But if you're going by the official definition of upset, it was just one to get there. But it still does not mean that the Razorbacks had an easy path to get there. Although I'm sure beating Harvard was probably not on their radar when they saw their bracket, but instead of Stanford. But that's part of their Madison March.
It sure is. All right, you guys got it. It's 4 upsets per bracket on the women's March Madness bracket. Have fun filling out those brackets, and thanks, Stats, for breaking it down.